Hi, this is Christy Green, and it's April 3rd. Today I am leaving the St. Francis Acute Rehabilitation Center, and I stopped by to talk with Mark about my experience. I was hospitalized in early March and had neurological issues, some heart issues, actually a number of issues, and clearly couldn't go home. The choices offered to me at Marin General were really skilled nursing facilities where I would not really get the kind of attention that I needed. I was unable to walk, was unable to write. My speech was pretty incoherent, and I had clearly suffered some damage. I was fortunate to be able to hear about St. Francis and this facility, and luckily my son, who was smarter than I am, arranged to have me sent here. My experience here, I'm really excited to talk about my experience here because it really is like no other paradigm that I've heard of before or that I've seen actually work. And when I arrived here, as I said, I was pretty non-functional. And 2 weeks later, I'm walking out of here. I'm walking, I'm writing, I'm speaking. And it is a direct result of my experience here. Generally, the idea is that there are some very professional therapists here, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech language pathologists, and many RNs that are here. The attention in my room when I was unable to get out of the bed was that I had really complete access to the nurses, and that made me feel safe. And then in increments of a half an hour and sometimes an hour, each of the coordinating therapists took me to work with them individually. And as I built up my skill level, I was able to do more. It was clear that these people were talking to each other. And again, that I think makes this experience unique, or certainly for me unique, in that I wasn't dealing with one person who had one little part of my brain and another person who had exclusive access to another part of my success. People were working together. My experience with the medical director is unparalleled. I had such access to Dr. Chi that I've never heard of this. She is so involved with the patients, and I teased her because not only is she a brilliant physician, but she delivered my mail last night. There's nothing these people won't do. I have not had a single grouchy nurse or practitioner. Everyone's very positive, and they all feel like they're doing a really good job. And I think that kind of success repeats itself, and it makes this place the way it is. I'm really sorry that more people don't know about it, at least in Marin. I think that there are a lot of people who choose this as an option rather than the variety of skilled nursing facilities that are available. My event occurred almost four weeks ago, and no one in the ER, no one in the ICU, and no one in the any of the other doctors and nurses would have expected that I'd be walking out like this today. At the end of my 7 days at Marin General, I was really terrified about leaving the hospital, what that would mean. I had fallen, how was I going to integrate into the community? And I've learned the skills in a safe way for me to re-enter the community and return to my home in a way that I feel safe and strong. Amazing life skill. And the first time I walked outside, I have to say I was terrified. And I had been, first in a wheelchair and then using a walker. And I used a cane to go outside, and I was certain that I could do it. And within the first 20 steps, the sounds of the city, the air, everything really kind of overwhelmed me. And the physical therapist that I was with said, great, this is a great beginning. I've done that since now 4 times. I did it yesterday. I went shopping at Trader Joe's. I actually bought my oatmeal and my blueberries for tomorrow morning's breakfast, and was accompanied by the occupational therapist. So that is beyond my wildest expectations. I would say that when I first arrived, the most critical person was the occupational therapist. And what she did was I had my first shower in 7 days. And that turned out to be, for me, a very complex skill that, 2 weeks earlier I would have just walked into the shower and not thought about it. But she was able to help me break down the activity into discrete parts. And so first, we take off my socks and so on and so forth. And then so she was right there. I felt safe. I was sitting down, but I was able to do something that I really wanted to do and was completely unable to do at Marin General. There was no way I could take a shower. So I was able to do something here because she had the time and the time allocated for me to do that. And that completely tired me out for that day, but it was probably the best experience I had had in several weeks. And then the speech pathologist, who is, again, also a very skilled person, was able to assess where my language skills were. She also assessed my writing skills, and just as an aside, this is something that I would never have anticipated. When I went to write my signature, I had perfect letters, but they were all on top of one another. And so I wrote the C, and then right on top of it the H, and then the R. Had never seen that before. And so within 2 weeks, now I just signed my name about 20 times for being released, that she was able to show me how to move my hand, to move those letters. I had the letters in my brain. I just had an interruption, so I couldn't do all the things I could do before. She was also really good at assessing my cognitive skills through language. Was I able to categorize? Was I able to solve relatively simple logic problems? Was I able to overcome confusion and fatigue and reconcile my checkbook? So these were skills that were necessary to reintegrate and skills necessary to evaluate where I was. So we didn't waste any time. And then towards the end, my physical therapy has been the most critical insofar as a result of my incident, I had lost a fair amount of balance, coordination. I really couldn't walk when I walked in here, when I was brought in here. And now, as I said, I was able to go from being dependent to being completely independent. The physical therapist worked me pretty hard. None of this was taking up time. This was all focused therapy. Balance activities, stretching activities, weight training, and I even went on the treadmill yesterday. Even went on the treadmill sideways. So.
And how about with the physical therapist out on the sidewalks and
right,
street crossings?
Right, and it was mostly the physical therapist that took me out, just the OT the last time. But to be able to how to negotiate the sidewalk, how to negotiate crossing at the crosswalk, how to choose to go around people. And those would seem like skills that one had already integrated, but for me, those were new skills again. And I was able to do that almost flawlessly yesterday. I think that, again, what I'd like to say in conclusion is I think that the way this unit works, having all of the professionals work together, is probably the single factor that makes this so extraordinary, that the whole is bigger than the sum of the parts. Thanks.